It's quite an honor to be here. I went to school here at the University of Missouri, so it is always fun to come back. I want to talk today about youth as the future. Certainly what you all are doing at the college level is very, very important. You are youth, and you're making a difference. I'm not going to talk so much about college activism or college sustainability today. I want to take a step back and look at kids actually growing up before they get to college, before they are even 18 years old, and see how can we create a future with more students like you. So I've been involved at the high school level, the college level, and now at the middle school level. And I found basically there to be just a couple general principles to make a successful student environmental program. And this, although I'm going to talk specifically about 10 to 14-year-olds today, these principles apply pretty much to anyone, adults, college students, high school students, whoever. So, general principles to creating a successful environmental opportunity should be meaningful. Well, meaningful how? When something is meaningful to someone, it connects to them. It makes them do something in a way that is special to them. So maybe that's spending time with friends that they wouldn't normally see. Perhaps it's spending time with an adult that they don't usually get to spend time with. Perhaps it's actually getting involved in a cause that is very dear to them. An environmental opportunity for youth should also be enriching, which means that students should have an opportunity to use some of their skills to do something. Whether that be working with wood, maybe creating a nesting box for a bird, or whether that be creating a presentation and presenting it to their fellow classmates. Whatever skills that they may have, it's very important to give them opportunities to actually use those. So your goals in mind, well, you should accomplish something specific. Whether that be recycling a certain amount, or composting, or planting a certain number of trees. But importantly, and I'm going to talk about this a lot today, it needs to be competitive with other time use activities, especially television, video games, and internet. More and more people are living in a virtual world, and we're ignoring what's happening in the real world, what's actually going on outside our windows, while we're busy looking at the screens. So, how will future generations value birds, biodiversity, wilderness? This is a good question. How did we come to those values? How did people in the past come to those values? And I think one of the main ways that we can develop these values in future generations is by creating environmental opportunities that have a lasting impact, which is what some would call environmental education. So as the way that I see it, there are three aims of environmental education. First off, importance to the person, then to develop a general conservation ethic in society, and also the development of leaders. So importance to the person. If you think about it, when you go outside, you're always using your senses. You're making observations, you're learning to classify things, you're using a lot of different skills. Well, the environment provides a perfect opportunity to develop those skills and to develop critical thinking. So there's actually a lot of literature on the importance of the person, so I'm not going to talk about that so much. If you're interested, there is a good book called Last Child in the Woods by Richard Wu that has a lot on the importance to the person of environmental education. But conservation ethic and development of leaders are what I'd like to focus on. I was walking at the Bronx Zoo one day. It's one of my favorite places in New York City. And I saw this quote. It was a quote that I may have seen before, but it really struck out to me because I'm a teacher. I work with young people. And so it says, in the end, we will only conserve what we love. We will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. And I think that this is, it's the truth. If students grow up valuing things that are not nature, then how can you expect them to care about nature later on? I'm very into birds. We'll hear about birds a little bit today. I did a survey and found that none of my students, at least 5th grade students, have any awareness of a heron or an egret. Well, in New York City, conservation of herons and egrets is a very big deal. How can you ask these students to care about herons and egrets if they've never even heard of them, if they don't even know what they are? So a lot of these things need to be taught. We'll look at some of the ways that they can be. So youth are the future, literally. And it's very important to develop conservation ethic among the youth because they are the future. If you look at the age structure of the world, 27% of people in the world are under 15 years old. In the United States, that number is about 20%. If you look at certain places like Uganda, 57% of people are under 18 years old. Okay? A significant portion of the world is very young. And my question, what will they value? How will they spend their time? Also, for development of leaders, I mean, it's important to expose everyone to nature and to get them to develop a value, but we also need leaders. I mean, you are leaders. That's why you are at this conference. How is the next generation of those leaders going to develop? Where are they going to come from? You know, with the environmental movement, the year 2042 is becoming ever more important. That is the year in which white people will no longer be the majority in the United States. Now, that's the case most of the world over. And up until this point, a lot of the environmental movement has been dominated by white people. And it's very, very important that we move beyond, you know, our current borders and develop these ethics in other people. So, introduction to my students. My school is a K through 8 school, which means we have kindergarten to 8th grade. There are about 580 students at my school. I personally work with 134 of them in classes. 81% are Hispanic. Most of them are Dominican and Puerto Rican. A number of other ethnicities are represented, Mexican, Guyanese, Ecuadorian, but 81% are Hispanic. So you imagine there's a lot of Spanish speaking going on. 16% are African American, about 2% Asian, mostly Vietnamese, and then about 1% combined Native American and white. Most of my students are in poverty. They all receive a free lunch. They are not growing up with the same kind of opportunities, certainly, that I had growing up, and that a lot of people have growing up. So a day in the life. I am a teacher. It is my job to take my students from where they're at now and advance their thinking skills, advance what they are able to do with their minds. Well, I have 5 class periods a day. It means each day I might see 4th and 5th grade class, I might see 2 7th grade classes, I might see an 8th grade class, and then I might see another special ed class. Each day I will have 5 different groups of students. Now, I used to have a classroom. I no longer have a classroom, so I visit 4 different rooms a day. If you think back to your science classes, doing labs, doing hands-on activities becomes a big challenge when you have to move it around. Okay, this is definitely a barrier to environmental education. 50% of my classes are special education. What that means is they'll be in a smaller class and they have individualized plans for their education. They might have a learning disability. They might have a physical disability that requires them to have extra help in a way that the general students don't necessarily need. I'm also the sponsor of the environmental club at my school, and on Mondays and Fridays I sponsor a dance group during lunch periods. It's kind of comical because I have no dancing abilities whatsoever, so I just kind of sit there and take a job. My classes, general education classes, I have 32 students per class. That would be my 5th grade class, 7th grade classes, and then special education, I have about 13 students per class. This is pretty high if you think about it. In a classroom, there will be me, and there will be 32 crazy 13-year-olds. So it's tough. It's like managing people. And what your job is to get them to accomplish a goal. And if you can think back to your own school days, being, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, being in school is not always the most interesting thing.